Audio Jungle.
Southern California, good evening and welcome to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We have ourselves a jam-packed episode today as we are talking some college hoops action. USC and UConn did battle in their little tournament. Did the Trojans come out on top, or were they handed their first loss of the year to the Huskies? UCLA men's basketball tried to get back on track by playing Seattle. Were the Bruins successful, or were they sleepless against Seattle? We had some other NCAA football results, such as San Diego State taking an L to Colorado. But hey, at least UCLA got back on track and beat Arizona. And then USC, speaking of back on track, is on track to play Washington State this upcoming Sunday. Yes, college football on Sunday is back. That's when 2020 couldn't get any more unusual. And speaking of football on Sunday, the Chargers didn't lose by one score. Instead, they lost by 2 scores to the Buffalo Bills. So this upcoming week, the Chargers pretty much playing for home or playing for pride against the New England Patriots. Will the Chargers come out on top, or will the Patriots unplug the Chargers? Also, the Rams took an rather ugly L to the San Francisco 49ers. As they turn around to play another NFC West opponent in the Arizona Cardinals. Will the Rams come out on top? Find out that and more on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday. Hope you all had a great day and a great week despite all this nonsense and craziness. Without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports action. But before we get into the action, I actually have a guest. And yes, it's not going to be my brother this time, despite us having great chemistry. So my guest is actually a Bostonian fan. Yes, I said it. We have a Bostonian on the line here. He is a huge fan of the New England Patriots, the Boston Celtics, the Boston Red Sox, you name it. He does actually like the Anaheim Ducks, but you get the point. Without any further delay, I'm about to introduce you to my buddy, Mr. Chris Young. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how we doing, Teran? Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on, man, and I'm glad to have you on today's show. Great for you to be on, and I'm ready to talk some Chargers, Patriots, and a little Rams, Patriots. First and foremost, before we get started, this is a little housekeeping rule. The thoughts and opinions of myself and Chris are the thoughts and opinions of ours and not of IE Sports Radio or any third, 4, 5, or 6 party organization. So just gotta get that out of the way. But let's get on into this action. So introducing my guest, Chris. Chris, tell everybody a little about yourselves and basically how you got into sports.
Okay. So it's kind of a weird story, but my dad was originally from Massachusetts. And, he grew up in Mass in the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So, he saw a lot of really great Celtics teams, some really bad Patriots teams, and a couple of, good but bad Red Sox teams. So, had a lot of those in his upbringing, and he actually moved to Southern California back in the mid-80s. So, once he moved out there, he got immersed as the Boston guy that lived in California. So just growing up out in California for myself, I either got lucky or unlucky, however way you see it. I grew up as a Boston fan, so been a Boston sports fan my whole life. And I know you mentioned the Anaheim Ducks; they kind of sneaked in there. That was my first hockey game was a Ducks game, so I guess I have some allegiances there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much grew up with the Ducks myself, and the Ducks more so than the Kings. I mean, I don't necessarily hate the Kings, but I'm just more a Ducks guy, just because. And also, I was a fan of the show The Mighty Ducks. So.
Oh yeah, that's old school right there. That's the way to do it.
Yep. And then also the Mighty Ducks the movie, I believe, as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, and I also gotta get this out of the way. So Chris is actually a member of the Coast Guard, so we also gotta give him a round of applause for that. Gotta hit the applause button one more time for him. So thank you for your service, Mr. Chris, and we deeply appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, yeah, no problem. So anyway, without any further delay, let's get on into some Patriots Chargers action. So let's recap last week's game. So the Patriots, who have had themselves probably one of the more weird and unusual seasons, came out on top against an impressive Arizona Cardinals team. So Chris, when you saw that victory and how Cam was actually able to lead his team to victory over a talented Cardinals team, what just went through your mind, and what impressed you the most against the Cardinals?
The big thing about what impressed me, I guess, as a Pats fan is, there's something that Bill Belichick does better than anybody, and that's game planning against young quarterbacks. And it seemed like, they played to their strengths. The Patriots have an exceptional secondary, and they kind of negated some of what DeAndre Hopkins does and what Larry Fitzgerald. Obviously he was out with COVID, but what those types of receivers do where they get a lot of space, so negated a lot of the strengths that Kyler Murray had and kind of forced them to go to the running game. And the running game was actually working well for the Cardinals, but, that was kind of one of those old school grind them out, 80s football wins for the Pats. And it's, Cam Newton had less than, 100 yards passing or whatever it was and 2 interceptions. It was just, it's one of those things. I don't know how the Pats do it sometimes, but I really, in Bill we trust. The guy just knows how to game plan better than anybody, and takes away the best part of the other team. So it was rough watching though. Going from Tom last year to Cam this year, it's definitely a change of pace. But a W is a W.
Absolutely, and as Andy Reid once said, it's tough to win the NFL sometimes, or more times than not. Yeah, and the one thing, you mentioned the running game, and obviously the Cardinals have impressive running backs in Kenyon Drake, which obviously the Patriots are familiar with since he was on Miami, and also Chase Edmonds, who had filled in for Drake when he got hurt. But you also mentioned that they took away Kyler Murray's options. They took away his ability to run. I think he only had 31 rushing yards, and it was just not his day. And the fact that the Patriots defense stepped up, and let me just tell you all about the Patriots defense. Despite having 8 players from their defense opt out this season, they've just been impressive. They shut down Lamar Jackson and the high-flying Baltimore Ravens, and then they also shut down another high-flying offense in the Cardinals. And the Patriots are still knocking on the door of making the postseason. The thing about the Patriots is that you can push them and knock them down, but they're not going to, they're not going to roll over and play dead despite a little roster turnover.
Certainly, and that's the thing about Bill is Belichick is never gonna admit or they have these some teams have these pseudo tankings where they'll try to get a high draft pick. I mean, you're not going to see that from a Belichick-led team. I mean, especially with just the pedigree over the last 20 years. It was kind of one of those things. I mean, even when the Patriots won their last Super Bowl against the Rams, that was a 13-3 game. That was not a flashy win by any means. That was just a bare knuckles, bruiser of a game. And, Bill's going to do whatever it takes to win. So, it's kind of one of those things where the Patriots are just, they're victim of their own successes where they are trying to adapt and get better with the league as it changes and with themselves, with the personnel that they bring in. So it's just a constant movement. And personally, for me, I love Cam Newton. I think he's been great. I love his leadership. And that's an intangible that you don't get a lot of. And the COVID stuff and the COVID season, I think maybe it's worth giving him a chance. Next year if they can put the pieces around him and get him the training that he needs.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring me to my next question. So obviously, with the departure of Tom Brady, it really sucks with all those years that he was at the quarterback for the Patriots and all the great fond memories.
Decades, yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to Cam Newton, how do you think he's performed this year? And we're not going to count the games where he got COVID. So how do you think he's performed overall, though, despite having to deal with COVID and all that?
Well, quite frankly, I think he's done a pretty good job as a teammate. I mean, the team absolutely rallies around him, loves the guy, and he just has those leadership intangibles that you kind of see from modern quarterbacks. I think coming back from injury, I don't think he hasn't played a full season in quite a while. You're looking at a couple of years because he had a Liz Frank injury in his foot, and he had a couple of shoulder surgeries. The one thing that kind of bothers us Bostonians, us Pats fans, is just his pocket awareness isn't what Tom's was, and it's tough to go from Tom Brady, who had a very, very excellent pocket awareness, who would be able to step up into the pocket and make the throw that he needed to make at any time. He was just so quick to get the ball out. Whereas Cam, it kind of takes him a second to get that progression through his receivers, and maybe that's the receivers not getting the separation you're looking for, or a combination of a lot of things. But I think his running has been great. The designed run plays and the design stuff for him has been awesome, and I think he, I like what he does. And there's a word of thought around here that there's some folks that don't like him so much. So I low key, honestly, I hope they give him another chance, and I think his performance can only go up from this point. So I like the way he runs, and some of his deep balls have been excellent. So maybe that's just some more coaching, that's some more time in the system. But I personally think he's been all right, and paired with the running back core that we have, it's been pretty fun to watch when everything's clicking. So.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Like, Cam obviously isn't been like Super Bowl Cam, but he's been keeping the Patriots in games, and you also have to factor in that the Patriots have been banged up outside of their players opting out. Like, they lost Julian Edelman to injury, and now he's on the COVID list, and then they lost Rex Burkhead, who...
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who's now on IR, and then Sony Michel just came back from IR, and they've had to work in some new guys like Damian Harris. I think his name is Dimitri Bird, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Demir Bird, yeah.
Yeah, Demir Bird, sorry. So yeah, and they've had to work in some new guys, and I don't even know if they've worked in a new tight end ever since Gronk so-called retired. So
yeah, not the retirement, not the quasi-retirement, the worst. That was the worst.
Oh yeah. That was some craziness. All right, so, but the fact that the Patriots still have a shot at the playoffs is quite astounding. And here's the thing about the Patriots. They have the tiebreaker over the Raiders, which they beat nicely, and then they also have the tiebreaker over the Ravens. So if it comes down to the final day, and then the Raiders, Ravens, and Patriots tie for that final wild card spot, they could eventually sneak in, and then if they get back to somewhat full health, like if they get some of their players back, like Edelman, and then also maybe Burkhead, and then once Sony Michel gets back into the mix, and then once Cam Newton feels a little bit more comfortable, then it could be a possible resurgence of the Patriots. But I don't know if I would put money on that, but still,
yeah, I don't know if I'd put money on it either.
Yeah, but so let's go to the other side of what happened with Tom Brady and the Patriots. So, do you still watch Tom Brady when he's with Tampa Bay, or have you just moved on from him?
Oh no, of course. We always watch Tom Brady. I mean, Tom's what brought us so many Super Bowl appearances and rings, and he's he's the greatest of all time. You gotta show credit where credit is due. It does feel kind of weird. It's almost like when Joe Montana went from the Niners to the Chiefs in his last couple of years. It's like, man, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right entirely. It's like a love-hate relationship. Part of me likes seeing him play well, and another part of me kind of wants him to, wants me to see him not do so hot. So, but no, he's such a good quarterback, and he just, he's getting old. You can tell that he's getting a little rust on him, and keeping him in New England, it was really tough. It was really tough to get him to buy in with what Bill was doing, picking up the receivers and offensive weapons around him. It was just really tough to get Tom to buy in, and I understand why he left, quite frankly, So, but yeah, it's a love-hate. I do like watching him, though. I still like him a little bit. I still got him there for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the same could be said for my relationship with Phillip Rivers. Obviously, he's nowhere near Tom Brady's level, but obviously I'm still kind of rooting for him in Indianapolis. So now let's go over to the other side of the Patriots' next opponent, the Chargers. Oh, yet another disappointing loss for the Chargers. This time they didn't lose by one score. They lost by 2 scores to the Buffalo Bills, which is now the new class of the AFC East. So my question to you, Chris, is have you seen Justin Herbert play, and what have you thought of Justin Herbert?
Oh, man, Justin Herbert is an old school gunslinger. And that guy, he looks like he's about 16 years old, but man, that guy can absolutely throw a football, man. It is ridiculous. And having him play with Keenan Allen and, a healthy Austin Eckler, it's just like, it's pretty fun to watch. I like him a lot. And I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback for a very long time if he so chooses to stay in LA, And that's the thing that LA needs to solidify their fan base is getting behind somebody who can absolutely sling it. And I know that LA was thinking about picking up Brady last year. But Herbert is good, man. I like him a lot. He's got, obviously like a rookie, he's going to have his problems, but I actually kind of liked how he was playing more than Joe Burrow was playing at some points. And, if you're a fantasy guy, Herbert is an exceptional fantasy quarterback. And if you're, an X's and O's guy, Herbert looks like he knows what he's doing back there. I like him a lot. And it sounds like LA is pretty invested in him too. So there's certainly a future for him in Southern California.
Oh, yeah, indeed. And it's definitely been a great ride. Like, I remember, I was a little iffy on Herbert at first, but I'm like, you know what? Other than these so-called other Chargers fans, I'll give Herbert a chance. And I kind of wanted Tua, but hey, well, Herbert's just as good. And the whole Tyrod Taylor was a whole blessing in disguise. Like, I hate what happened to Tyrod, but look at what it's unlocked now, but we'll.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy that he got his lung punctured by the team doctor. What are you guys doing down there in California? I was like, geez, what's going on? But I mean, quite frankly, you never would get Herbert wouldn't have had a chance. I think Taylor's a pretty good quarterback, and you saw some of those flashes with the Bills a couple of years ago, and he is an athletic dude who fits the NFL mold these days. And I thought he would have been pretty successful in LA. I don't know if LA would have been, competing for a division with Taylor the quarterback, but it's kind of a crazy way how things work out because Herbert has been slinging it for you guys, and it's going to be really exciting in the next couple of years. Now, the question is Anthony Lynn going to stick around? So I don't know about that one. That's the better question.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing I like to talk about. Like, Anthony Lynn has just been... I like the guy. Like, I totally have no qualms with Anthony Lynn. But the problem is that he just wasn't fully invested into Herbert when he first came on to the field. Like, when that whole thing happened moments before the Chargers played the Chiefs, he was not I don't think he was fully ready. He wasn't fully prepared. So I don't want to see Anthony Lynn get fired, but at least he cannot be the head coach. I feel the Chargers need an actual head coach, and it's just been tough for the Chargers this year, losing one-score game after one-score game, except for last week when they played Buffalo. But Buffalo has a very stingy defense. But looking at Herbert's numbers this year, he's got 3,015 yards, he's got 23 touchdowns, which the rookie record is 27, and the rookie yard record is 4,374, and he's basically on pace to be breaking that. And yeah.
No, he's definitely going to be the offensive rookie of the year for sure. Absolutely. As he should be. I mean, I think he's taken the mantle that a lot of people had. Joe Burrow was he was kind of trending in just a really effective QB as an effective QB who was going to get you 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, or rushing touchdowns or whatever it may be. And Herbert's really stepped in for that void that Burrow left, with the terrible injury that he had. It's really, really unfortunate to see what happened to him. But Herbert has been really good. I actually like watching Herbert a lot. And hopefully whoever the Chargers end up picking next as their head coach can really mold him and get him where he needs to be for the entire organization to succeed, especially in LA. And I think that's really important, is to get the people to follow the Chargers from San Diego to LA, to get that fan base to buy in, from something that the Rams have a lot of most of the media attention out there. So hopefully the Chargers can kind of take the mantle on that.
Oh, I totally agree. All right, so we actually have ourselves a Spreaker chat room for our platform, and one of our other hosts on IE Sports Radio had also recommended to me yesterday that the Chargers, he's on the whole, the Chargers should get Jason Garrett as their head coach. Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think that's a not so good idea?
Jason Garrett would be an interesting pick. I don't know what his future is in New York. I think actually New York's kind of cultivating a little bit of a franchise out there. They're really kind of, they seem to be trending on the up, I think that he would be a good fit for LA if they really want to go with an offensive kind of mindset. I think he'd be an excellent fit for Herbert. I like Herbert, kind of getting better in his second year. So I think if they pick a head coach or a really offensively minded coach, I think that's gonna pay huge dividends for them in the future, and moving forward. So I think Garrett wouldn't be a bad choice by any means. You even see Daniel Jones's play has been elevated this year from having Garrett be around there. So I think that'd be a pretty good pick for them.
Well, that's quite the interesting. I totally agree with you. I think that would be an interesting choice. I mean, he's done wonders with the Giants. I mean, they are first place in the NFC East. I mean, NFC least. But,
yeah.
But Daniel Jones has been a solid quarterback this year, and he's actually beating teams not named the Washington football team. He actually beat the Eagles. He beat the Bengals, and this is the crazy stat. Daniel Jones's win prior to those wins against the Eagles and Bengals were against Washington 4 times, and then Tampa Bay back in the Jameis Winston era. So,
wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, so I'll give Jason Garrett some credit and on how he shaped up that offense, and who knows, maybe it could turn out to be something good. But I just don't see Anthony Lynn staying long term. I think this is pretty much his last year. If anything, I'd want to see him take a demotion, maybe demote him to a running backs coach, because that's what he kind of looks like. He loves his running backs like Eckler, Justin Jackson, Kalen Ballage, etc., etc. So, all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I like Anthony Lynn. He's a respectable guy, and I think everyone likes him. The problem is just that he's just not the suitable coach for Justin Herbert and the rest of the Chargers. And then we get
it's just not working on the X's and O's, really. You look at the play calling at the end of the last game. It was just like, man, what's going on? With a run play that chewed up 20-something seconds of the clock. It's like, geez, what are you thinking down there? So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. And I think the thing with Anthony Lynn, because I like him a lot too, I think he's got a really favorable, high favorability rating between the fan bases and at least from the outside looking in. It's so important that I think personally for me, like, representation matters, and having an African American head coach in the NFL is so important. And there's just so few coaches in general in the professional sports that are minority coaches, and I think that does matter, and I really value that, and I think that speaks to Anthony Lynn's leadership, that he did do really well there for a couple of years, and just really unfortunate that it's been kind of going off the wayside here lately. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Like, his first year, they went 9-7, and they almost made the playoffs after a 0-4 start. The second year with Anthony Lynn, they went, I think it was like 12-4, and they tied for atop the AFC West. But unfortunately, the Chiefs had the tiebreaker. But the Chargers did win a playoff game. Unfortunately, met the unfortunate fate of your team, the Patriots.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What can I say? They were pretty good for a while. I don't know. The Patriots were pretty good for a while. Maybe not this year, but.
All right, so let's get into this little matchup. So for this matchup between the Chargers and the Patriots, how big is this game for New England, as they're basically going on a 2-game road trip in LA? Because after this week, the Patriots play the Rams on Thursday Night Football. And do you think this is a possible trap game for the Patriots?
Oh, certainly. I definitely think it could be a possible trap game. Now, they're lucky for not having this be the Thursday game, because I think that would have been be even more of a trap game. Getting that full week to prepare for the Rams instead of the Chargers, and then you just kind of, you'd go into the Chargers game kind of half effort. But I definitely think it could be. Just like I said, given Herbert, I mean, the kid's so good. You get Austin Eckler's back there. I mean, he already had an immediate impact, last week, and that Colts team was pretty good. That's a good football team. The Patriots, given what they can't seem to do on offense, they're just having so much trouble moving the ball. I don't know if they can get into a shootout, and that's the thing with Herbert, is he has the wherewithal to get into a shootout, and he's got the receivers like Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler out of the backfield to just change the game. And I definitely think that the Chargers have a chance. Now, granted, I don't know what the spread is with Vegas or what the analysts are saying. I think the Patriots are probably favored by a little bit, but I think it's a trap game for sure, because the Chargers are going to come to play. Anthony Lynn's fighting for his job. I think it's going to be a good game, and it definitely could be a trap game, but we'll see. I mean, that's one of those things. Every game I'm worried about it at this point. So.
And according to the Pick Center, the Patriots are 1.5 point favorites, and the over/under is 47, which sounds about right if you ask me. So originally it was it was actually originally even, but I guess they gave the Patriots a slight edge. I'm surprised they went even to begin with. So here's the fun fact about the Chargers: is let's say they're like swing against the AFC East teams. So other than the Jets, because they're a complete plane wreck, they have struggled against the AFC East this year. All of their 2 games against the Dolphins and the Bills, they really struggled with. Like last week's loss against the Bills held them to under 20 points for the first time since week 3. The Chargers actually lost their first game by 2 scores, and it was also the first game that the Chargers lost by 10 or more. So and it was also the game where the Chargers never led, and the same can be said for the Dolphins, where the Dolphins and the Bills both have talented defenses, and they just have talented quarterbacks overall. And to me, and I'm not again. Yeah, and again, I'm not including the Jets because they're the Jets, and even the Chargers struggled against that team as well. So,
yeah.
So when it comes to the upper echelon of the AFC East, they struggle against them, and then when it comes to the Patriots, the Chargers have not beaten the Patriots since 2008, when their quarterback for the Patriots was none other than Matt Castle, because of that sad.
Oh man! Wow.
Yeah, that's
a long time.
Yeah, that disappointing injury to Brady. I think it was against the Chiefs, where his ACL unfortunately got hurt.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. But see, a lot of people say that him not getting that ACL, or him getting that ACL injury rather, a lot of people have motioned that that kind of extended his career, because he that pocket presence definitely went up. Ever since he got that ACL injury, and he basically went a full year without contact. And then that was the Patriots were in a really good run there. They went from 2007 playing the Giants. God bless us for losing against David Tyree, but they were on a nice little run there where they were going to be pretty competitive. And Tom being taken out for a year. Who knows how many playoff games that could have taken off, or just games in general. That was a big thing for his health before. Who knows? But that's pretty wild that the Chargers haven't beat us in that long. That's a long time, man.
Yep, and this is also including playoff games as well. But the Chargers and the Patriots have only met in the playoffs once during that span of their last win and currently. And that was the playoff game from a few years ago, 2 years ago. So,
wow.
And then, yeah, and then another fun fact for the Chargers is that they have not beaten any team with Cam Newton on it. So, or whenever Cam Newton has started a game. So, I mean, most of his career was with Carolina, where he had some talented players, but for the most part, it has been a struggle. And most of Cam's years back in Carolina were probably his youth and prime years, where he was just on a tear. So, So yeah, that's some Snapple facts for everybody. So
yeah, got to let the listeners know on the Snapple facts. Those are important.
Yeah. So what do you think the keys will be for the Patriots to stopping Herbert and the Chargers?
Well, biggest thing for stopping Herbert, obviously is going to be getting the pressure. I'd be interested to see, what type of blitz packages Belichick does, because as I mentioned earlier, he loves getting those young quarterbacks rattled. If that's something where he takes a safety or a real athletic guy, like he's been using Kyle Duggar a lot to get kind of in the box, and that's what he did last week against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Taking those types of guys, putting them in the box, and having a fourth or fifth rusher to just come on the edge and set the edge and try to get around or set the strong side. That's really what I'd be interested to see, and that's the thing is, I think if it gets into a shootout where Herbert starts just chucking the ball and playing to his strengths, then it's going to be tough for the Patriots, because the secondary definitely is one of the better units in the NFL. But you can tell that Steph Gilmore has lost an edge that he had last year. So and I think he's certainly going to be matched up with Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen, and then the Chargers have an excellent tight end in Henry there. So I'd be interested to see what Bill Belichick does in game planning against them. But that's the best way to do it, is to set that edge and get that extra rusher to get a hand in Herbert's face, because Herbert can absolutely chuck the football, man.
Yeah, he definitely has a cannon for an arm. Bill Belichick had so much great things to say about Justin Herbert. I couldn't believe it. It's like, wait, Bill Belichick is actually saying a lot of great things about Justin Herbert? Yeah. It was in some Chargers fans are kind of delusional in thinking that Bill Belichick will come to the Chargers. I wish that could happen, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know about that. That'd be pretty wild. I think they'll keep him in New England no matter what.
Yeah, and for the Chargers, for their keys to victory, I kind of think their keys to victory is basically they got to bring defensive pressure. The thing about the Chargers defense is that the Chargers are winless when they don't have Joey Bosa and Mark Ingram on the same field, or not Mark Ingram, Melvin Ingram on the same field together, and Ingram's out for the rest of the year. So, but here's the thing about Joey Bosa. He had himself a monster game against the Bills and in a losing effort, and he just made it tough. He even forced a fumble or two against Josh Allen and the Bills, and it was quite good. And the thing about the Chargers is that they got to capitalize whenever they do force turnovers. They forced 3 turnovers against the Bills, all of which came in the fourth quarter, and they only came out with 3 points. The first time they forced a turnover, I think it was against Devin Singletary. He coughed up the football, and then eventually the Chargers had to settle for 3. And then it was another fumble, I think it was on Josh Allen, and the Chargers had to punt it. And then I remember Michael Davis picked off Josh Allen, and eventually Herbert returned the favor by getting picked off himself by Tre'Davious White, who, in Justin Herbert's defense, Tre'Davious White is one of the best corners in the game, and he was covering Keenan Allen all game. So that's definitely
certainly, yeah. That's the thing too. Is the Chargers definitely have some pieces that are going to work. I was kind of surprised they let Melvin Gordon go. I think he meshed well with their schemes and what they were trying to do, and I know they kind of had a little bit of dissension between him and the organization. But Herbert, it seems like if he had just a couple more pieces on offense, he's going to really capitalize. And that time and just getting in that time behind the helm is going to mean so much. I really, really think that under the right hands, the Chargers could be an exceptional football team, out there in the West. The Raiders are playing really well, but they definitely could compete here in the next year or two with Herbert, because Herbert is the future,
And that's not just you saying that. It's everyone saying that. Even Chiefs fans. Even some Chiefs fans are saying that Herbert is definitely the future. One thing that Justin Herbert will have is somewhat of a better offensive line. Try Turner and Brian Bulaga don't have injury designations, and against the Bills, Bulaga basically left in the first quarter with an illness, and it's oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I know. It's if you give a good offensive line to Herbert, if you can let him chill in the pocket, and Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Hunter Henry can get that separation. You're golden. I think you're in such good shape with him at the helm. You're definitely in a better quarterback position than the Patriots. How about that? That's what I would say. So,
yeah, I totally agree. So, you have a final score, possible final score prediction for this game?
Oh gosh, I think that the Patriots will absolutely eke it out. I'm going to say 26-23.
That's pretty much near what I have as my final score. I have the Chargers eking it out 24-21.
I think it's a pick'em game for sure.
And the thing about the Patriots is they're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Again, you have the Patriots knocking off the Cardinals and the Ravens, who are both talented, but then the Patriots get knocked off by the Texans, who have been underachieving at most, considering Bill O'Brien and all of that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And then the Chargers' 3 wins are against the 3 worst teams in the NFL: the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Jets. So we'll see if which team has to go under first.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I'd be interested to see who the Chargers are going to pick up in the draft next year. That's the one that would be interesting to me to see where they end up in that draft position, because they're certainly not going to pick a quarterback, So are they going to try and build around that offensive line? Are they going to try and get better wide receivers or running backs? I'd be really interested to see what they go with next year. It's an exciting time to be a Chargers fan, even though you guys' record isn't that good. I get it. It is definitely a good time to be a Chargers fan, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and definitely do try to invest stock and buy what they're selling. So let's just briefly talk about the Patriots' up-and-coming game against the Rams. Do you think the Rams have exceeded expectations? Because I'll be honest, I didn't think the Rams were going to have too big expectations. I knew they were going to have bigger expectations than the Chargers, but with the fact that they're pretty much in contention for an NFC West championship, and maybe a Super Bowl contention, do you think the Rams have just exceeded the expectations of everybody?
I think the Rams, man, they are so up and so down sometimes, and it's does it start with Jared Goff? Does it start with his play? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. They've really developed those wide receivers, though. I mean, Cooper Kupp has been when healthy, he's been exceptional. And then even Robert Woods, the local USC guy, has played great there this year. I mean, he's been amazing, and he was kind of a second or third option on some other teams for a while. And coming to LA, he's just, especially this year, I think they've really empowered him and made him a key part of that offense. It really gets to the point of how is the defense going to do? Is Aaron Donald going to be able to get that pressure and clog up the front and do what he needs to do? I mean, with the 49ers, what a fluky game last week, losing to Nick Mullins and the 49ers. What a wild game. And maybe that's just, that interdivisional type thing that happens to the Patriots when they lose to the Dolphins every year. Maybe it's one of those, but they have the potential, because I don't think the NFC is as strong as advertised. I think the AFC is a little bit stronger than the NFC this year. I think anybody can win in the NFC given the right situation, because Drew Brees ain't coming back. So, if Jared Goff can play well and get the ball to his wide receivers, then I think you're in a golden spot. No turnovers. The Rams have a bright, playoff picture if they can play smart.
Oh, I totally agree, and I definitely agree that that loss against the 49ers was just so. I knew they were going to get a possible trap game from the 49ers, because the 49ers have actually beaten them the past 4 times. But here's the thing. 3 of those times came against Jimmy Garoppolo, who is actually undefeated as the 49ers starter, which I find that rather surprising, but it's just another Snapple fun fact. Yeah, the entire NFC West is very competitive. You have the Seahawks, who are leading the division. The Rams are right behind them. The Cardinals are in contention, and maybe to get a wild card berth. And then the 49ers aren't out just yet. They're on the outside looking in. If they were in the NFC least, they probably would get in the playoffs. And
absolutely.
This is where having that rule really sucks. So. But yeah, if we do have Chris back on the show next week, which knock on wood, I think that would be awesome. We will definitely recap the Chargers-Patriots game as well as the Rams-Patriots game, because unfortunately they do get to play on Thursday night, but it is no big deal. But it's no big deal. It is what it is. All right, so now let's move on from the NFL and let's jump to the NBA, where there have been a lot of the schedules have now been released, or the first half of every schedule, and obviously the Lakers have had their schedule released, and then the Celtics have just recently had their schedule released in terms of the first half. So, Chris, what matchups are you looking forward to when it comes to the Celtics, and what do you think? What's the outlook looking like for the Celtics after they fell to the Miami Miracle men?
Oh man, what a brutal loss on our point. Man, that was something else. I think here in Boston we were pretty upset about what happened in Miami, but man, that Tyler Hero can absolutely ball out. I don't know, Adebayo is so good. And Miami building, God, what a great team down there they're building. But yeah, really rough. I think losing Gordon Hayward was big. I think a lot of people liked him, but kind of soured on him just with the injuries and stuff, So I think going forward, I'm really excited to see how the Eastern Conference plays out, because I think that Tristan Thompson pickup for Boston was so big, and that's what they've needed for years. I mean, I know they were trying to think about picking him up last year. They've needed that for a while to have that size just on both ends of the court. I think they're going to be in a really good spot, and I know a lot of people don't have the Celtics as one of their top three teams in the East. I think they're going to be competing for the second and third seed very much so. I want to see though the games that I'm looking at is those Brooklyn Nets games, because I am so interested to see how KD and Kyrie play together and how they play against good teams. That's going to be really interesting. And then obviously Milwaukee, because the Celtics now with Tristan Thompson, they're going to be able to put that and Daniel Tice are going to be able to put that pressure on Giannis that he didn't get a lot. So I'm really excited about that, and seeing if Jason Tatum can take the next step. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown might be the best outside duo in the NBA. At least competing for one of the top two in the NBA. So I'm really, really excited about it. So it does feel like the season's coming kind of soon, though. I don't know. It felt like the COVID NBA bubble was like really late. So we'll see, though. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing about the Celtics. They actually opened their regular season against the Bucks, and then on Christmas Day, 2 days after, they play the Brooklyn Nets. And Brooklyn's going to be quite the fascinating team with Kyrie and KD coming back, and then the possibility of getting James Harden. And looking at the Celtics schedule, they play the Heat on January 6th, and then they play him 4 days after, which is quite nice. And I really am looking forward to those matchups, and then we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll also see if the Celtics can, or if the Philadelphia 76ers can get over the hump, which they're pretty much blowing up their process. But for Lakers and Celtics fans out there, circle your calendars for January 30th when the Lakers come to the TD Garden where they play. I think the Lakers are going to be on their Grammy trip, if they're going to have a Grammy trip, considering their Grammys are up in the air with everything going on. Yeah, no kidding. Well, man, talk about a team that might have gotten better, man. The LA Lakers, jeez. That Schroeder pickup was huge, man. That was such a big pickup. And I don't think normal, kind of NBA fans understand how big of that Dennis Schroeder pickup was. I absolutely love what the Lakers did, and God, it hurts watching them from Boston, because it'd be better if we could at least defend our 18 against you guys in the finals. But you're creeping up now at this point. And LeBron, I just what you guys did in the off season was incredible. And like Anthony Davis signing that Supermax, LeBron signing his 2-year deal. I mean, things are looking up in LA, man. It might have a first, repeat champion we've had in the NBA in a while. Really, genuinely, I could not see how somebody wouldn't take the Lakers as their best team this year. Oh yeah, absolutely. And they've also made some other good signings as well, with like Marc Gasol. And then they brought back KCP, which I kind of think they spent a little too much on him. 3 years for, I think, $40 million. Just a little too much, but it's still pretty good. And then they got Montrezl Harrell and Wes Matthews Jr. And then I already said Marc Gasol. Now for the other LA team in regards to the Celtics. The Celtics play the Clippers at TD Garden on March 2nd. So what can you say about the Clippers and how they might have gotten better despite some of their roster turnover?
Oh man, I don't know if the Clippers got any better. I don't know. Maybe they got. It sounds like they got a lot of problems. It sounds like they've had some chemistry issues. Between Paul George and Kawhi and the rest of the team there. I'm really interested to see how they rebound this next year going forward. I think Kawhi and PG. Genuinely, there was a lot of dissension about those guys sitting a lot and trying to rest a lot through the season. I think these guys moving forward, they gotta ball out. The Clippers Kawhi has to really take control of the team and play like he means it and play hard. And I really think they're gonna have to make that step forward, because if they don't next year, I just see them blowing the team up again. I can't see myself seeing them, just keep running it back with Kawhi and Paul George just doing the same thing. I can't see it.
So obviously Doc Rivers is a former Celtics coach, and he eventually went to the Clippers and eventually got the boot. Paul George had this one quote to say: "Doc was trying to play me as a Ray Allen or a J.J. Redick. All pin downs. I can do it, but that ain't my game." Do you think that was a little too excusable, or is he just trying to cover up something, or just complaining too much, or what's your take on that quote?
Yeah, I don't know. Paul George, he had a devastating leg injury that a lot of people kind of just forget about. Mm-hmm. And you can see that he I don't know, his quickness that he had in Indiana isn't 100% there. He's not given 100% on defense. Offensively, it seems like a lot of the real metrics guys think that he's not the most efficient offensive player, especially late in games. And that's the thing is, like, with Doc him saying that Doc's trying to play him on the wings and stuff, sometimes he needs to go with the best shooter and the best baller. And the game is increasingly moving away from the low post and inside the arc. And I can understand where Doc's trying to say, hey, I want to save my guy. I want to save my guy, who they're already giving minutes restrictions with him and Kawhi kind of doing their thing. I want to save my guy, and I don't want him to go to the rim every time. I get it, but Paul George, man, it's kind of weird that he's going like that. I think he should know better. You know what I mean? He should know where the game's going. But I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. And I don't think that. I really think Paul George has taken a step back. I do acknowledge the leg injury that he had back when he was with Indiana. But another thing that I don't like about Paul George is that he gave himself the nickname Playoff P. Like, you can't just give yourself the nickname Playoff P and then just not show up. Like, I think he took that nickname from Rajon Rondo, a former Celtic, and it was just quite sad. Like, you don't give yourself a nickname and then just not come up big in the playoffs. Like, I just think
if you're going to give yourself a nickname, you better be good.
Mm-hmm. But it looks like there's some optimism for the Celtics. I think that they can contend in the East. I think the East might be wide open. I think the Bucks will be somewhat good. I mean, they obviously improved, but can they take that next step because they kind of took a step back last year in terms of losing in the second round, and then the Heat have improved. The Celtics last year were my dark horse, or this past summer were my dark horse. And then the Raptors, I think, also took a step back other than getting Fred VanVleet back. But any other teams you can see contend in the East?
The Raptors are pretty good, man. I do like the Raptors a lot, too.
Mm-hmm. You see any other teams possibly competing in the East for the Eastern Conference Championship other than, like, the Bucks and the Celtics and all that, and the Heat?
I think your top six are pretty. You're looking one seed's going to be Milwaukee. 2 seeds probably going to be, Boston. 3 maybe Toronto. 4 seed, you're looking maybe Brooklyn if they can kind of come through. Sixers maybe as a 3 or 4 seed, and then certainly the Heat. I mean, Brooklyn. I think the kind of the wild card will be what the Heat do, and then gosh, I'll tell you what I'm really interested to see is what the heck the Wizards are going to look like with Russell Westbrook. That's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be fun to watch him do his thing in Washington, man. With Bradley Beal, it'll be nice to get some eyeballs on Washington with Russ and Beal. I think they might be pretty good. I think it's the same effect, though, of what are they going to be able to do together. And I think Brooklyn has more pieces than, say, Washington. But Brooklyn is going to be really interesting if it's going to work out with KD and if it's going to work out with Kyrie. And, coming back from an Achilles injury, that'll be what the big take on KD is. And I'm really interested to see how good they're going to be. But, who knows at this point.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. And with the Eastern Conference, to me, I think is somewhat wide open. The West kind of has to go through the Lakers and then maybe the Clippers. The Nuggets are also up there. The Jazz are pretty good. The Warriors are still going to be somewhat good with Steph. But the problem is that poor Klay Thompson suffered.
Rough Klay Thompson, man. That's so rough, and that really unfortunate for them because a lot of people were thinking that they were gonna, really compete, like almost immediately compete for some of the upper echelons, and looking real good in the West. But that I don't know if it's gonna happen, man. That Klay Thompson really set them back. The other one that you got to look at in the Western Conference too is Dallas. I love Dallas. I think Dallas is one of the most watchable teams, especially when Porzingis is healthy. I mean, watching Luka Doncic, who is the absolute future of the NBA, is just incredible. I love watching that dude play basketball.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about Dallas. Another team I also forgot in the East that I think most people forgot were the Atlanta Hawks, which the Hawks are somewhat decent as well, considering they got a lot of pieces in free agency. They drafted USC guy Onyeka Okongwu, or as most people call him, Big O. I think the Hawks can be sneaky, but it might take them a little while to mesh. But they could be somewhat of a dark horse playoff team.
Oh, certainly, especially Trae Young, too. Trae Young, if he still keeps kind of doing what he's doing, I mean, you're looking at him, he kind of reminds me, honestly, he kind of reminds me of Steph back in the real good years in Golden State. He just has that really long shot and just amazing handles, man. That'll be the one I'd be interested to see. But a lot of the folks I listen to too is I'm a big Bill Simmons guy, and he talks about how much the Hawks absolutely regret not picking up Luka Doncic instead of Trae Young, and I think I might agree with him because man, he's good. Trae Young's good, but he's not Luka,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Like Luka is just on another level, and again, if Porzingis was healthy, and if the Mavericks didn't get screwed by a couple of calls against the Clippers, I think that might have been a whole different series. But honestly, I think the Mavericks are definitely a contender, and then the Suns are actually pretty good as well. Like they have some good key pieces that they return as well, and whole Pacific.
Well, I was going to say is I loved what the Suns did, picking up CP3 and re-signing Booker, and I don't know what that's going to mean for them long term, but I think one big thing that we got to look at is what's going to happen with a lot of the COVID related stuff, and I really hope that they can keep the season going. But I mean, you're looking at what's happening in the NFL is that type of stuff in the NBA doesn't really. We don't have as much flexibility with that, so I'm curious to see if they're going to push games back, or if it's just going to be more of hey, it's a no contest today, or whatever it may be. I'd be really interested to see what happens.
Yeah, same here, and I can imagine not seeing some of these gymnasiums or arenas filled with fans, and I heard that the Warriors might have some fans in their stadium, but I doubt that because if the Lakers and Clippers aren't gonna have fans in Staples, I don't see how the Warriors can have fans in up north. So That's just something interesting that just popped up when I first saw it. But overall, it is what it is. Like, we still have...
Yeah, I am excited, though, man. I am excited. I'm really excited for the NBA, and, I hope that they can... kind of recoup some of the losses that they had with viewership in the bubble. I don't know if that was because of the election or because of it being kind of out of season for those guys. I really hope that they can kind of recoup some of that stuff and get that viewership back up to where it was, because the NBA is honestly one of the most popular sports in America. They just had a really tough time with the TV ratings and everything. So I hope that it can be back up, because I think it's a great product. Of all the professional sports, I think they're one of the ones that's one of the top-notch ones nowadays.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, and I definitely hope that the NBA does get its viewers back, because I was a little surprised about the NBA ratings in the NBA Finals and the bubble playoffs and whatnot, but it is what it is. All I just hope for is that 2021 goes a lot more smoother. So
yeah, I hope so too, man. You're telling me. Knock on wood. 2021 goes a little smoother. I think it will.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think that's pretty much going to do it for this little segment. Thank you, Chris, for coming on. If you could just stay on the line for a little bit so I can give you a proper goodbye. We're going to take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll be getting into a little of college sports and just going to send everyone on their way. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And you can check out Let's Whine About Sports and all of our other amazing shows on IE Sports Radio here on Spreaker, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. I think we're affiliated with SoundCloud, you name it. But definitely thank you to my guest, Chris Young, spelt with a K, for being a guest on my show. It was fun talking NBA and NFL action. And like I said, hopefully we'll be able to have him back next week, because he definitely is a great guy, and he definitely wants to be back next week, and it'll be fun times. So let's get on into segment 2, because I actually want to get out of here as soon as possible, because I actually am covering a Long Beach State men's not volleyball. I've been doing set point too much. I'm going to be covering a Long Beach State men's basketball game against Loyola Marymount, and it's going to be for the school newspaper. And I'm actually going to be covering it virtually. I'm not going to be going in person because COVID. Long Beach State and Loyola Marymount are facing one another tonight. It's going to be at Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles. It's going to be a fun time because the Long Beach State is making its season debut after their original season debut was postponed at UCLA because of, I didn't know what was going on. Like, they all got all their players tested negative for COVID, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen, which is sad. So is going to go quick and dirty on the NCAA men's basketball scores. On Monday, we actually no. Let's go with last Friday. San Diego State beat UC Irvine, and that was it. And then also we had UCLA beating Pepperdine. Then we had last Saturday we had Minnesota beating Loyola Marymount 88-73. USC beat Montana 76-62. UC Irvine thrashed Bethesda 135-55. That's a whatchamacallit, NAIA school, I believe. And those were the men's basketball games on Saturday. On Sunday, we had UC Santa Barbara beating St. Catherine 92-55 on Sunday. And that was it. So this past Monday, we had Minnesota beating Loyola Marymount again. This time it was at Minnesota. Both games were at Minnesota. This time the Minnesota Loyola Marymount score was 67-64. All I remember is that someone hit a walk-off jumper, which broke the hearts of many Loyola Marymount fans. That was the only game that happened. So this past Tuesday, December 1st, we had USC thrashing BYU 79-53 in the Roman Legends Classic. I was blanking on that tournament name, but it's the Roman Legends Classic, which USC really looked really good against BYU, and that was a semifinal game, and I was quite impressed. What else was impressive was UC Riverside beating Washington 57-42. Yes, the Washington Huskies from the Pac-12. So the fact that the Highlanders actually got that victory was quite impressive. I was very impressed by their victory, and I couldn't have been more happy for them. So good job, Riverside. Kudos. And then on Wednesday, we had UC Irvine beating La Sierra. That is an NAIA school, 104-54. Then we had Cal Baptist losing to SE Louisiana, 81-80, which sucks because I thought they were going to win that game. But they didn't. They lost by 1. Derp. And then we also had Cal State Bakersfield losing to Santa Clara 53-47. We had San Diego State thrashing St. Catherine 83-41. And that was that for Wednesday's games. Yesterday's games we had UCLA just demolishing Seattle 78-52. Pepperdine just rolling past St. Catherine 94-45. And then we also had USC falling to UConn 61-58. I watched that game. I was so disappointed in how USC played. They looked so flat in the first half. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what I was seeing. And like they weren't overly bad, but they got out-rebounded a lot. And then they just couldn't put the 3-ball in. And then also Noah Bauman fouled a three-point shooter and gave him 3 free throws. And guess how much USC lost by? 3. I'm not going to say that truly mattered, but it's fouls like that come back to haunt you and nip you in the butt. So yeah. So I'm not trying to diminish the guy, but I just think that USC should have beaten UConn. But it is what it is. Tonight's games will feature, like I said, Long Beach State and Loyola Marymount, and then we should have more games. We had Cal Baptist beating SC Louisiana 83-66, which is nice and all because they avenged their loss. So, like I said, Long Beach State and Loyola Marymount face one another tonight, and then we have Cal Poly playing San Francisco. Yes, the same San Francisco that pulled off the upset against Virginia, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, number 4 Virginia, and the same San Francisco that's in the West Coast Conference. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for tonight's games. Looking at the schedule right now, San Diego State is 3-0. Gee, many Christmas. And they actually, I already said they beat St. Catherine. But their game against Colorado State has been postponed. And this is for men's basketball, so I decided to put that out there. Pepperdine Fresno State at Pepperdine has been postponed, which sucks. I'm sad, but it's whatever. It doesn't look like there's any Southern California teams playing on Saturday, which really sucks. I do know that Long Beach State plays Seattle at the Pyramid on Sunday. I might cover that game, but for tonight's game against Loyola Marymount, you can follow for updates on the Long Beach State school newspaper at D49 Sports, or I think that's what it's called. It's at D49er Sports. That's capital D 49 ER capital S PORTS. So yeah, once again, that's at D49er Sports. That's for the sports section of the Daily 49er. The whole Daily 49er as a whole is at Daily 49er. So cool stuff. Going back to the NCAA men's basketball games on Sunday, there's UC Riverside at Denver, Seattle at Long Beach State, Pepperdine at San Diego, which is going to be a very fun matchup, and then UCLA plays its Pac-12 opener against Cal. And I also thought that USC was supposed to play their Pac-12 opener is next week against Stanford, if that gets to be played, because I did hear that it was supposed to be postponed. Anyway, USC does return to action this coming Tuesday against UC Irvine. They better beat UC Irvine. Nothing against UC Irvine. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I expect USC to not have the same problems they had against Cal Baptist, because if they're having those troubles, then Andy Enfield needs to give his team the talk. And then for Cal State Northridge, who I keep forgetting about, they lost to Seattle, they beat Seattle on Monday, 76-65, and then they lost to Air Force, 66-61. Keep forgetting about Northridge because they don't keep popping up on my dang feed. So that's pretty much that for NCAA basketball. I'm just going to go at hyperspeed at this point because we got to wrap up. So now let's go to some NCAA football, where UCLA just owned. Well, they didn't. I wouldn't say owned, but they basically just beat Arizona to a pulp, 27-10. Arizona did lose their quarterback, Grant Gunnell, which really was a big difference maker. They were forced to start Will Plummer, the true freshman from Gilbert, Arizona, which is cool. And then UCLA was forced to start Chase Griffin, the true freshman, as well. I don't know what's going on with Dorian Thompson-Robinson or DTR, but Chase Griffin didn't have to do much because he only had 129 yards and 1 touchdown. It doesn't look like he had any fumbles. The true story for UCLA was Demetric Felton, who had a whopping 206 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and he also had 24 receiving yards too. So that's some good stuff by Felton. Like, this dude could probably be a future running back in the NFL. Like, I just hope he's somewhat better than Joshua Kelly, because nothing against Joshua Kelly, but the dude hasn't really made me go, wow, this guy's a true, really good talent in the NFL. I'm glad we picked him up. So UCLA's next game is against Arizona State. That's going to be on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm excited for that matchup. One, because Arizona State finally gets to play a game after their whole team pretty much got COVID and Herm Edwards got COVID and all of that. And then two, it could be UCLA could possibly go. They could actually go over 500 for the first time in Chip Kelly's tenure. Which, if that were to happen, that would be awesome. Like, it's only the 4th time that UCLA has has been 500 in Chip Kelly's tenure. So it's only the 4th time. So hopefully the Bruins can actually accomplish that feature. But Arizona State's tough, man. And that Jaden Daniels kid is something spectacular. And he is a SoCal guy. He hails from whatchamacallit. Sorry, I just got a 10. Sorry, I'm a little distracted here. Just keeping my eye on the clock and all that. He comes from San Bernardino, which is in Southern California. I forget what school he went to. I'm blanking on the name, but I do know it's in San Bernardino. So I'm probably going to kick myself for not remembering. So I think Arizona State pulls out the victory against UCLA. I don't want to say that about UCLA. I think they have something good going on, but I think it's going to be a little while before they get back to their upswing. So I have Arizona State winning 35-24. I think Arizona State will be too much, and I think they're going to be excited to get back on that field. So that's my prediction for UCLA Arizona State. So let's go to San Diego State. San Diego State's game against Fresno State was canceled, and Colorado's game against USC was canceled because of COVID. So guess which teams faced one another? You guessed it, Colorado and San Diego State. And unfortunately, San Diego State lost 20-10. It was almost as bad as last week's game against Nevada. But just like last week, San Diego State failed to score anything in the second half, and their passing just was. They actually had a change in quarterback because Carson Baker was just stinking up the joint. As their second quarterback was Jordan Brookshire. I think it's pronounced Jordan or Jordan. Either way, Jordan Brookshire took over as QB. He had 50 passing yards, and he also had 50 rushing yards. Wow, 50-50. That's quite something. I will also say this. San Diego State also failed to score an offensive touchdown this game. That's just how sad San Diego State has been ever since they lost to San Jose State and Nevada. Like, I can't believe San Diego State's having this much offensive ineptitude. I haven't seen this much ineptitude since the San Diego Chargers back when they were in San Diego. So, yeah. So, luckily for San Diego State, the season is almost over for them. I'm not trying to say that in a jerkish sort of way, but the season's really flown by for San Diego State. Their next game is at home against Colorado State. They are favored by 8 points. They should win that game. If I see San Diego State struggling to win that game, I am going to flip. I mean, I'm not a San Diego State fan, but they cannot be having so much offensive ineptitude. Like, this is sad. Like, come on, San Diego State. So that's San Diego State. I think San Diego State wins 31-13. That's my prediction. All right, so now let's get into USC. USC had their game canceled last week against Colorado. It's more than likely going to hurt them in terms of possibly making the college football playoff, which I don't even see any Pac-12 team making the college football playoff, to be honest, unless the committee wants to sneak USC in just to piss off their fans and to see Mike Bond give them an extension, give Clay Helton an extension. But either way, USC comes back to action this Sunday against Washington State. That, in my opinion, should be the Sunday night football game instead of Chiefs versus the Broncos. So here's the thing about USC. USC is 3-0. Good for them. I'm so proud of you, USC. My only concern is, will they be rusty? I hope they're not rusty. I'm certain they can actually pull off the win, and it's just going to feel, I don't know about you all, but it's just going to feel weird seeing USC playing on a Sunday. But then again, most of these USC athletes are going to be playing on Sunday as well when they get to the NFL. It wasn't that funny, but it's whatever. So, Washington State is 1-1. They have also been bitten by the COVID bug. Their game against Stanford got postponed or canceled last week, so they're both basically on the same side of the coin. However, I just see USC winning that game. I was going to be iffy on picking USC against Washington State, considering their game was actually originally scheduled for Friday. However, I think USC can beat Washington State. I don't think Washington State is bad. They looked impressive against Oregon, but they haven't had anything scream out to me saying, hey, we're impressive this year. Nope. Sorry, and I accidentally hit my mic. My bad. They also kind of struggle with Oregon State, too. But Oregon State is more talented than what their record shows. As for my score prediction for USC and Washington State, I have USC winning 38-20. Like, I think USC covers and they beat Washington State. I really want them to beat Washington State, because if they somehow lose to Washington State or UCLA, then that could cost them in the Pac-12 South, and that could cost them a possible appearance in the Pac-12 Championship. Which kind of makes me also wonder, what do I watch this weekend? USC Washington State or the Chargers versus the whatchamacallits, the Patriots? That's just my little thing. I think I'm just going to watch Chargers Patriots, then flip on over to USC and Washington State. Maybe check out a little Rams action as well. So we'll see how it goes. So that's pretty much my spiel for college football. Now, one more thing I do need to get out of the way before I send you all on your way is I got to really speed this up. The West Coast Conference has released its schedule for college volleyball or women's volleyball, men's and women's soccer, and I don't think they've released anything for football. But then again, San Diego is the only team that applies for football, and BYU, but BYU is FBS and San Diego is FCS. Either way, I am happy that the West Coast Conference has released the schedules for men's and women's soccer as well as women's volleyball. You'll be hearing me talk more about women's volleyball on Set Point. However, it's just going to be a conference-only schedule. It's not going to be any non-conference games. According to BYU's site, the West Coast Conference was going to announce non-conference games, but I'm not entirely sure. So we'll see. I mean, it also has to depend on who else is going to be. It also depends on location. Like BYU could probably have non-conference games to their place, and then like the California teams like Gonzaga, Pepperdine, San Diego, San Francisco, etc., those might not be able to have home non-conference games. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like, hopefully everything can get squared away, because California is still in the purple tier. Like, hopefully it gets down. Like, I'm just hoping that's the case. But I think that's going to do it for tonight's show. I'm sorry if I have to go hyperspeed, but again, I didn't expect the college basketball game that I'm covering tonight to get flexed to 6 p.m. It was actually, I think it was originally supposed to be 7 p.m., and then they flexed it to 6 p.m., which is like, ugh. Alright, but without any further delay, it's time to get on out of here, because y'all have got some dinner to eat up, and I got a college basketball game to cover. So let's get on out of here, people. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you to my guest, Chris Young, for appearing as a guest, and thank you to the chat room. I kind of forgot about the chat room, but everyone was popping in the chat room saying what's up. Marcus Losgrave was popping in the chat room, talking about how Jason Garrett might be a possible coaching candidate for the Chargers, which I mean, after what Chris said, I'm kind of on board, but I'm not too much on board, but it could be interesting. Andrew Hagenbaugh was in the chat room chatting it up, talking about the Chargers. Davidson Brooks popped in for a minute, and then Danny Medina, a.k.a. Big Man, showed some love as well. So, without any further delay, thank you all for tuning in for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I definitely appreciate it. If you're listening to this on the replay, thank you. If you are listening to this live, thank you. For everyone here at IE Sports from everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourselves a great rest of the night, a great weekend, and I shall see you maybe this weekend for a live play. Who knows? If not, you'll see me Tuesday. Have a good night, everybody.